Hi, I'm Scott from Watchuseek, and today we're going to look at the Sinn 144 chronograph. But before we do, I'd like to say a big congratulations to Sinn. As of September 1st, they moved into their brand new headquarters. It gives them a little bit more room for production, for customer service. But interesting for the customers is they have a dedicated space where they are going to showcase all their watches. So you could go in there, ask questions, see the watches, try them on. And what they're doing as well is they will be doing direct sales right out of that facility. So if you're in the Frankfurt area, check them out. You can go to their website. They have the new address listed. So now let's get into the 144. Okay, so let's take a look at this Sinn 144 STSA. And first off, I just have to say that this really does tick all the boxes for me for what I think a chronograph tool watch should be. It is so easy to read both the time and the chronograph functions. So let's just start with the case and we'll work our way in. So the case shape, this is such a, I don't know, I think of the 70s, and really we can go back to the Porsche design Orfina, which is a very similar, if almost not this, almost the same case shape. And if we're even talking about Porsche, the car that I think of is a 928 from the 70s. The 928 has a distinctive line to it, but it's very curvaceous with there's no hard creases. It's not a Countach, it's the opposite. And this is the same kind of a thing with the case shape. You can see we have this shape here, but all the edges have a softness to it. And I think it also helps too that the stainless steel case is a bead-blasted case, so it has this wonderful feel to it. And if you look here, you can see that nice graceful arc there, and then we've got this arc that comes in going across the case here. And what that does is right in there you have multiple levels, angles in there, and what that gives you is a nice highlight and shadow. You can see as I move it around, it's not a flat base to the case here. The same thing is true here with this edge right here. It's rounded as it goes up into the crystal, and there's even a slight radius as this outer bezel meets into the case part here. And so that gives you this, as I rotate this around, you can see where the highlights are hitting on the case. It's really a nice addition. It looks very simple, but when you wear it and you see how the light hits it, it's nice. Even here on the bottom, you can see there's a bevel on the bottom part of this main case here. It's nice. And then this curves underneath here. You have a screw-in case back exhibition, so you can see the 7750 movement. The design of the case here, it kind of protects the pushers and the crown, not the way a Speedmaster Professional. It's not asymmetrical in any way. You do have a screw-down crown that is signed. You have the S there, kind of a stylized S for Sinn. So the measurements for the case for the 144 are, we have 41 millimeters diameter here, and I will say that you can see there's not much of a bezel to this design, so it is all dial. But a 41 millimeter, that's easy to wear. It's not a what I would call a large watch. It is a little on the taller side. It's 14.5 millimeters tall, but that's kind of par for the course with a 7750. We have a strap width in here of 20 millimeters and a lug to lug of 45. So 45 millimeters, and you can see if you're wearing this on a leather strap or this rubber strap here, it goes straight down. It's going to fit on a wide variety of wrist sizes. So the crystal on the 144, it is a flat crystal. It has AR coating on the inside of it, not on the outside. The AR coating, anti-reflective coating, will really help with the clarity of the dial not having a glare. The case of the watch comes up and surrounds the crystal here. It doesn't sit proud. Some watches, the crystal will sit up a little higher. The case has a water resistant rating of 200 meters, so certainly water is not going to be an issue with this guy. Just, of course, with the chronograph, never use chrono pushers underwater ever. And of course, well, not of course, but this watch is a lugless design. So that is one of the characteristics of the 144 in the way that this takes the lugs are inside this area here. It gives it that unique look, and I think kind of in a way, a 70s look. Love it. So let's talk about the dial on this 144. So we'll work our way from the outside to the inside. So on the outside here, you have this sloping inner bezel, and very easy to read that the numbers are quite large here. And we have two different scales. We have the traditional, in the racing world, a tachymeter, and then over here we have a pulsometer. So the way this works, let me reset the chronograph. Oops, stop, start, reset. Let's say I want to check my pulse and I don't have one of those new fancy Apple Watches or Fitbit. I start the chronograph and I count, and when I get to 15 pulses or beats of the heart, I stop this. So let's say I get right here and there's 15. So then you can see we have 80 right there, and that would be your pulse. So then starting over here at the 190 mark, this would be for the tachymeter. So if I was able to see a distance marker and my car at the Utah Salt Flats was going between two towers that was a mile apart, and it went through the first when I started, and now the second marker I stop, I can see that this is 160 miles an hour. That would be pretty cool. So stop start up here at 2, reset down here at 4. So let's just talk about the chronograph. The chronograph, the functions of the chronograph are all in red. So very easy to read and see and differentiate from the time functions. The time, the hours and minutes here, this is a lume-filled hand, and I really do like the way that the center of the hand is blacked out. We see that with some other manufacturers, Bell & Ross and Sinn, with other watches, they do the same kind of thing. So moving on into the sub-registers, the chronograph sub-registers, as I mentioned earlier, the chronograph functions are all in red. So up here we have the 30-minute counter at 12. Down here at 6, we have a 12-hour counter for the chronograph. And then, of course, the seconds, the big seconds here for the chronograph. Over here at the 9 o'clock position is the running seconds for the time. And then at 3 o'clock, we have a day date. I will say that I wish more manufacturers would do this, in that the date wheels, the background of the date wheel matches the dial color. So here we have a nice black date wheel with white lettering on there for both the day and the date. This is a quick set feature, so I can unscrew the crown here, pull out to the first position. Whoops. Okay, so I am at 10 o'clock. So I am in the habit of, when I set the day or the date, I adjust my time to 6:30. So some movements, and I believe the 7750 is one of them, you can damage the movement if you set it close to the midnight mark. So I'm going to pull the crown out all the way into the time setting position, and I was actually at 10 in the morning, but we didn't know that. So I'm just going to scroll through here, or roll through the time. And there we go. So there's midnight. So Thursday the 17th, I'm going to go to 6:30. And now I can safely change the day date. So here we go. If I move up on the crown, turn it forward, it adjusts the date. And then if I come towards me here, then that's the day of the week. So quick set feature. Okay, and so we have lume-filled indices here for the hour markers. So very legible. I really enjoy the dial. It's a matte black. The printing on this, I'll see how close I can get and have my camera. The printing is exceptional. There's a lot of fine little lines between each minute mark. Now, of course, we're zoomed in. We're really close. When it's on your wrist, all these little hashes here, they almost blend in to become this gray line that goes around the outside of the dial there. But the execution of this dial is wonderful. So the Sinn 144 is powered by the Valjoux 7750. The 7750 is, of course, a major workhorse in the chronograph movement world. You can get it serviced anywhere. It's reliable. It's very robust of a movement. You don't really have to worry about it too much. Sinn did a really good job on finishing. You can see there's some perlage on that back plate. You've got some striping here on the rotor and then that top plate there. It has a power reserve of about 40 hours. So perfect choice for the Sinn 144. So here's the Sinn 144 STSA on my 7-inch wrist. And right off the bat, the wrist presence of this modest watch, it's 41 millimeters across. It wears fairly large on the wrist because if you see here, it's all dial. There is not much of a bezel around here. So you really see this sliver of the bead-blasted case here with the black dial. But it wears very comfortably with this rubber strap that it's on. It holds it in place. One of the things about a 7750 is it is a tall movement. It's fairly thick. So this at 14.5 millimeters sits off your wrist a little bit. So sometimes when you're moving it around, it does want to go back and forth. But this rubber strap helps. It is available with, of course, a leather strap and the bracelet. So overall, very comfortable wearing experience for this Sinn 144. So likes and dislikes of this Sinn 144 STSA. If I were nitpicking, I would like to see a little differentiation of the subregisters from the dial. It is all matte black and the subregisters are set down ever so slightly from the main dial. It would be nice to have them set down, maybe sunken down a little bit, but that's really about the only dislike I can find. If we jump right into the things that I like, first and foremost is legibility. This is such a high contrast dial. I can easily tell the time. I can easily read the chronograph where we are here, right at 11 minutes. It works really well with the red functions on the hands for the chronograph. I love the date, the way that the date disc has a background color that matches the dial, so black, so high contrast with the white for the day and the date. The bevel on the bezel, the inner bezel here, works great. It adds a little dimension to it. And of course, going back to the case shape, that mid-70s kind of the one that I used before, calling this a 928 with the curves. Really a nice case shape, unique, the way it catches the light, plays with the light, and the bead blasting case, you're not going to see a lot of fingerprints or marks on that. So definitely a nice chronograph tool watch from Sinn. So my takeaway of the Sinn 144, well, as you probably can imagine, I really enjoyed wearing this for the past week. I think the legibility is killer. I like the chronograph function. I use it to time the kids doing homework, things of that nature. And Sinn is such a cool German company with this type of watch. If you said, well, I like the legibility, but I don't like the design, check out Sinn. They're known for their tool watches. I mean, they make some amazing, very purposeful tool watches for literally specific markets. I mean, everything from first responders to firemen to divers, military type things. So just an incredible company. And the other thing with this guy here is this comes in on a strap at $2,110. That is a very good price for a 7750, a bead-blasted case, the legibility. Wonderful, wonderful price point. So for somebody that's looking to get in, maybe one of your first chronographs, you're scared about serviceability of some of the more exclusive movements, a 7750 is a great way to go. So once again, this is the Sinn 144 STSA. So there you have it, the Sinn 144. And don't forget, Watchuseek has a dedicated Sinn forum. So you could go in there, talk to other owners of Sinn watches, ask tons of questions. Everybody's pretty helpful over there. Maybe even find a user that has a 144 and talk to them about their wearing experience. So don't forget about the forums. And thanks for watching. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and be sure and leave comments below. Thanks for watching.